Have you ever heard of the organization?
No, I can't say that I ever heard of this organization.
National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives.
Okay.
I never heard of them either.
Me neither. I mean, I haven't seen any flyers or none of those things of the sort in the neighborhoods, you know. But luckily we got the, Buildingbulls popping, because now everybody is about to see who and what they about.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the things that, they showed us where they told us they're about, they're positive things. And we spent, 3.5 hours?
3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
With these dudes, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of time, and they had a lot of information.
Yes, they did.
The meeting got, I want to say animated.
It got warm. It got warm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I want to say this. I mean, for some of those out there who had a different outlook about our community law enforcement, they gave me a different outlook talking to them individually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, hopefully the people will get to watch and look at where they coming from.
Well, let's let them introduce themselves, man.
Yeah, we're going to let them do that. And then y'all need to know, y'all have to be ready for a whole
The first thing I want to do is thank you guys. Thank Ed for inviting us to be able to partner with him and start to do some things with the community along with his shop. First thing I want to introduce is Colonel Bond. He's going to say a few words. Then each of us that are here from the various police departments will briefly introduce ourselves. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cover a brief PowerPoint about what to do if you encounter the police. Whether it's in a car stop, whether you're out on foot, whether you're at your house, how you should act, how you should behave, what you should do if you feel that you've been treated improperly by the police. Once we're done with the PowerPoint, then we're going to do some quick role play scenarios. One is going to be a vehicle stop. Another is going to be somebody standing on the corner or in front of a store or shop. Once that portion's done, we're going to then have a panel discussion where any questions that you want to ask, you can go ahead and ask, and we're going to answer. For those that are unaware, Colonel Bond is the first black police chief of Newcastle County. So we have history here before us, and we stand on the shoulders of Corporal Robert Snow, who was the first county police officer that came to the department back in 1968. He unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks ago, but over at the police building, we have a training conference center named in his honor. So without further ado, Colonel Bond.
Thank you, listen, I guess a few months ago, I got an email from Ed, and it was on a Friday or a Saturday, and we were emailing back and forth, and then I came in here, myself and Captain Treadwell, and we sat down and talked. This is before I was colonel. And we sat down and we talked. And we talked about the need for Newcastle County Police Department to be more involved in the community. There's a lot of things that happen on the heels of the Ferguson, Michael Brown case, and countless other cases across this country, wherein the community has spoke about a disconnect that they have with law enforcement, and the fact that they see law enforcement as oppressors, coming in, slapping handcuffs on people and taking them out, but there's not really a lot of interaction or otherwise positive communication between the community and law enforcement. And it really bothered me and hurt me that so many people feel this way, but at the same time I understand. Why does it bother me? It bothered me because I know that I work with a great group of individuals, officers, who are dedicated, that if they saw you walking down the street without a shirt on and it was cold, they would take their shirt off and give it to you. Some of these officers are represented here tonight. They don't have to be here, but they want to be here. And so my goal, and the goal of all of us in Newcastle County Police Department, is to show that we aren't like some agencies are across this country. We don't want to be disconnected from the community. We want the community to feel as though they can depend on us, that they can trust us, that they will give us the benefit of the doubt. When things will sometimes go awry and can get crazy, the one thing that we ask is that people give us an opportunity to vet through the incident, to investigate it, and then we will come out and we will share with the public and the community that which we can share. Obviously, if you're talking about a sensitive incident, there might be some information that you can't share because you don't want to compromise investigations. But this is the first, and I thank Ed, and I think him opening up the doors and allowing us to have this opportunity. I would love to see it continue on. I think that we need to have regular scheduled meetings where we can sit down and we can talk, and the people in the community can come to us if they have issues or problems, or if they have suggestions. If they know a better way, or they believe they have something that might be beneficial to us as the Newcastle County Police Department or the Wilmington Police Department, it does no good to sit down on that. My phone, emails, I go through all of them one by one. So if somebody has something and somebody reaches out to me, I can assure you that I will get back with you. And if you want to sit down and talk and you have something that you want to suggest, I'm all ears, because none of us, although we may be in law enforcement, none of us has all the answers. And the problems that we deal with, especially in our community, are not just problems that rest with the police department. In order to get to solutions to some of the issues that we have, it's going to take all of us working together, collectively. No one wants to see a young African-American male shot, young white male shot, Asian male, Hispanic male. Nobody wants to see that. No one should have to come home and hear the sound of gunshots as if they're living in a war zone taking place outside of their house. And in order for us to deal with these problems, these situations, we have to work together as a community. We can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. And you can't do it alone. So if we both have the same goals in mind, which is to make the community better, to make it safer, to make it more positive for our young kids, then we need to work together for that. We need to work together. We need to come together as a community, as law enforcement, to make sure that these kids don't have to see some of the violence that's taking place right in front of them right now. Some kids at their age have seen more than most adults have seen in a lifetime. And we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to work together. So this is going to be something where we open it up. If there's questions, we put you through a couple of scenarios as Captain Trevor talked about. You'll get a feel for what some of the thought process is for law enforcement as we make vehicle stops or approach people on foot. I would encourage everyone here, if you're interested in learning more about it, we have a Citizens Police Academy. I think that has served as an eye-opener to a lot of people who've gone through it, because it gives you a first-hand experience and hands-on practical experience on everything that we do. You know, whether it be, you're not going to shoot with the actual firearm, but we have a firearm simulator that has different scenarios that it'll put you in. And you'd be surprised at how many people have shot people and all they had was a cell phone in their hand. But because the situation unfolds so quickly, you have to make that call. And I think a lot of people who've gone through the Citizens Police Academy have really come out of it with a better understanding, and they've been big supporters of what we do in law enforcement. You know, we do a lot more than riding around, drinking coffee, and eating donuts. Although I did have 2 donuts today. But we do more than that. So I don't want to take up too much time. I appreciate you all coming here. I look forward to the partnership and working here in this community to make a difference. And as I said, we can't do it alone. We need you. And we thank you again, Brother Ed, for this. I know it's been a long time coming. We talked about it back in the Martin Luther King breakfast.
Yeah,
we talked about it, around that time we were talking about this. So again, thank you all very much. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Community Services Unit. I met a few of you walking around here when I first got to the unit last summer. Basically, I'm your community services officer. From the city line down to basically 7, that's my area. So it basically hits this area. So I came to the unit because I wanted to do things like this, reach out to the community. I know that the answer to the problem isn't always locking somebody up. It's actually trying to figure out what's causing them to possibly get locked up. And hopefully this type of forum will allow us to understand that and see how we can help you all. Just want to let everybody know that we are here for you. If you need us, just call us anything, question, anytime. My line is always open. Just give us a call and we're here for you. The presentation you're going to see is the same thing that when these two get older, I'm explaining to them how to interact with police officers as well. So we're going to use it as well in our lives as well for the people that we, our family members and whatnot. So again, I'm Officer Anthony Pierce from UME. Just give us a call. We're right around the corner from there. So.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Senior Corporal Tracy Duffy. I'm one of the public information officers for the department, which means that I represent Newcastle County Division of Police through the media. I attend community events as I can. I will also be co-presenting with Captain Treadwell, and I'm usually kind of behind the scenes. I usually do most of our social media stuff, but also anytime that we need to speak to the media on behalf of Colonel Bond. So just like all these officers will say, and as the chief said, if you need anything, you can always email us or call us. And because social media is such a big thing, people are always messaging us or sending messages, post whatever, even reviews. I get them, I vet them, and I respond or I send them to wherever they need to go. So we are very open. There isn't anyone that can say that they weren't able to reach an officer, because you can. I mean, there's so many different ways: email, telephone, and social media. And I think we'll have our contact information for everyone at the end. Possibly. Yes. Okay.
And just an example of what Tracy's talking about is earlier today, somebody on Facebook sent her a message about they didn't think something was handled correctly. She sent the message to me. I gave it to my staff expert to immediately call the lady back, find out what happened. Turned out it was a misunderstanding. A part of it we could have done better. Part of it she just doesn't understand the processes of us being dispatched to complaints and how that whole thing works. So we are, again, able to resolve a lot of those things with people just reaching out to us, okay? Mike?
Good evening, everyone. Mike Coleman, Wilmington Police Department, been on for 9 years. I know Ed knows me, Brandon right here knows me. A lot of y'all know me just from coming to the barber shop. I'm from Southbridge. I love stuff like this. This is supposed to be an introduction, a little quick story. Like I said, I love doing stuff like this. I will continue to do these things. I went to a school earlier today, high school, Concord High School, and had a conversation with a young individual. He's a senior, and he told me, after a 20-minute conversation, he thanked me and said, "This is the first time I had a conversation with a police officer, not in handcuffs, not in the back of a car." And I know that sounds pretty sad, and it is sad, but it's also the reason why I do this. Because we got to get to the point where we have conversations before we get into conflict, and then it's turmoil, and it might cause officers to do the police action. So we got to get to the point of having these conversations openly and more often, so that we can stop having these conversations happen after the fact, or after the person's scored, or maybe after they've been wrong and they just don't even want to let you in at that point. So thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Sergeant Wesley Reynolds. I'm the supervisor from our community services unit. Anybody, I know James and a couple other people, probably you might recall, I used to be the officer over here at the PAL in Northfield Park. I spent 3 years there. I spent an additional 3 years at the Hookessin Police Athletic League, and another 3 as a community services officer, like Anthony Pierce in this area. I have a vested interest, especially in this area, and I don't want to get into too many stories, but 3 of my police athletic league kids who were PAL members when I was there were killed by gun violence. So anything that I can do, that the chief allows me to do, that the command staff allows me to do to reach out to the community, do community outreach programs, whatever it takes for us to get back to, like Mike just said, get back to just being able to walk up to officers and have just honest conversations without all the conflict and turmoil, I think is very key to where our agency wants to go and where every agency, you know, in this nation would like to go. We talk about this all the time. A lot of agencies are behind the 8 ball when it comes to community policing. I feel like we've been doing a lot of things. I think this is great. Ed is Ed. I actually thought I was going to come and get a little lineup, you know. But things like this, and I know you're talking to Anthony Pierce about this as well, are very important to get us back on the right path. To not only, you know, we want to hold the community accountable, but we got to hold ourselves accountable. We got to hold officers accountable for our actions when we go out to certain communities. You know, we got to treat people, no matter where they are, where they live, with respect and dignity. And I think we'll get back on the right path. So,
good evening, Lieutenant Tatum. Recently to the Community Service Unit. I do want to say this. There's a certain level of energy that we all have in this room, and if you can feel it, that energy is about being here and wanting to be here. I think Captain said earlier, it was Colonel, most of us, I don't know what your schedule's like, but all of us, we're off and we're here because we want to be here, because this is important. Make no mistake about it. Captain and I have had numerous conversations about just doing this, communicating. I guess in coming to this job, I'm in my 15th year now, and coming into this job, one of my biggest surprises was that there was some apprehension in even having a conversation, and I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, like, why is this? And not getting into a long story, but there's a young man that, you know, I would speak to every day, and he just kept saying, like, I don't know you, and kind of flagging me. And eventually, I don't know, maybe after the 4th or 5th time, I said, look, man, you might not know me, but I've at least said hi to you at least 4 or 5 times. And after that, we, you know, held different conversations, but it took an effort on both of our parts to have that conversation and develop a friendly relationship. And again, I heard it said before, I think it was the Colonel, it's that effort from both sides. Yes, we all have a responsibility. Everybody in this room has a responsibility. And one of the things that I shared with that young man that I just referred to was that I want the same things that you want. I want a good life for people in the community. I want a good life for my kids. I want people to be safe. I want basically all those same things that you want. So hopefully through this presentation, you get to see some of our ideas, some of the things that are going to do just that, make people more safe. And please know that if you see me and you like to talk again, I love to have conversations. So if you have a question about anything, let one of us know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I presently run the patrol division, so that means all of the patrol officers, through their various chains of commands, they report to me, as well as the K-9 unit. In my previous life, I was the commander of the Professional Standards Unit, better known as the Internal Affairs Unit. And a lot of people, what I found through that, they questioned whether or not we really investigate our officers for wrongdoing, and they do, because I can tell you, none of these officers in this room want to be supportive of an officer who's out there not doing the right thing. It makes our job that much tougher. As we saw last summer, at some point, an officer's misdeeds in California may cost officers in Dallas or Louisiana their lives because somebody perceives it or takes the wrong action. So we very, very much care not only about the community that we have to deal with, but law enforcement all across the country. We want them doing the right things. I have a 16-year-old son who loves to wear hoodies. So I have my concerns when I think about, man, if he's out there driving, he gets stopped. If the officers don't have the training that we have, man, some of the things that can happen, we've seen across the country for the last 2 years. Everything, though, hinges upon mutual respect between the police and the people in the community. It hinders sometimes on leadership, whether it's leadership on the part of that officer or leadership on the part of the citizen, to be able to say, yo, enough is enough. We're not going to get into a battle on the side of the road. So there are things that we can all do on both sides of the equation to make things better. And what we're going to ask you guys to do at the end, when you see what we have to present, you get the chance to ask any questions, is, again, if you're willing to work with us, we need you to go back out to the community and be ambassadors for the police department, because what I found is, in doing the job in internal affairs, a lot of times our community members, if we feel we're wronged, we won't pick up the phone and make the complaint. But we'll talk to everybody else in the neighborhood and the community about it. So now everybody else in the neighborhood and the community, they're like, oh, man, F the police. So now when there's a horrendous crime that's in the community, and we come in and we're trying to do our job, very few people want to cooperate because of the image and the perception of the police. So we need to change a lot of that stuff. We try and train all of our officers to, again, know if they go into certain communities and a crime occurred, you can't be out there talking about, yo, what did you see, when all the eyes of the community may be on, because some of the fear of retaliation is real. You have to know and understand that. So you have to realize there are other ways that we can make contact with this gentleman who, if they do it under the cloak of anonymity, a lot of times they want the people that are committing the crimes out of the neighborhood as well. But they don't want to be exposed and potentially victimize themselves. So, again, there's a very, very strenuous process that starts with who we select to join our department. We put them through rigorous training. We then put them through field training. We also have something that's called an early warning system. The early warning system, it documents various things. So hopefully, if we have somebody that's a problem or a potential problem, we can recognize that early. We can provide additional training if that's what's warranted, or we can terminate them if that's what's warranted, because again, we don't want anybody out here that's going to cause the police to look bad or develop a bad image. And you know, it's sad to say, I had a conversation with the Colonel and Director Bryant probably about 3 years ago, 2.5, right after the whole Eric Garner, Michael Brown thing. I said, man, because it bothered me a lot, to where I put down some of my thoughts and stuff on paper, and I said, if we don't find a way to bridge the gap, I guarantee you 2 things. More young black males are going to die, more police officers are going to die. And it's one of the things you hope didn't come true, but over the last 2.5 years, that's what we've seen. So we have to recognize, we have to be able to bridge the gap. And again, the police can't do it on our own. We need your assistance and your help. So again, we're going to go through the program. We'll go through 2 role play scenarios. And then after that, we're going to remove the display, and we'll set up a panel discussion where hopefully you guys will be really, really engaged, and I think you will, and answer questions. And again, if it's something that we can answer, we're going to answer. All right, any questions before we start? All right.